and show you some of her photos with
What was the
new
key
husband.
thing for
With hubby.
you in just allowing the Spirit of
Yeah.
God to flow through you and understanding it's not about you and your voice or what you look like or what you
Okay.
sound like?
Yeah, I think the key to it.
Okay, let me actually pause some of the stuff got music and stuff. I'll pull out of here for a second and pull up the picture. Okay, here we go. Here's one right here. So exclusive, and this just came out today. This information just dropped today that Suzy Lamb says she was pressured to hide her own assault. And then there's a picture there, of course, Joni and Suzy there. Let's bring this up. This is, wow, I had not heard about this, and this is even worse now. So in January 2017, Suzy Lamb, then Daystar TV co-host and daughter-in-law of Daystar founders Marcus and Joni Lamb, claims she was assaulted at Daystar by an unlicensed chiropractor her in-laws had hired. But when her husband, then director of operations Jonathan Lamb, told his parents about it, they buried the assault. Both Jonathan and Suzy told the Royce Report in an exclusive interview. According to the couple, Marcus and Joni maintained a culture of secrecy and protection at the large Christian broadcasting network with more than 100 stations worldwide and an annual revenue of over $100 million. The couple say they submitted to this culture for more than a decade. But as the Royce Report reported yesterday, Jonathan and Suzy have gone public with their experience at Daystar, specifically Marcus and Joni's alleged cover-up of their daughter's essay by a male family member. Suzy did not talk about her own essay in our first interview, but over the weekend she told the Royce Report she wanted to stand with her daughter as a victim and talk about her assault too, which remains traumatizing. My goodness. Yeah, I mean, I'm just dumbfounded that this is a new layer to this story that is, wow. So, yeah, I mean, as you said, there's clearly a culture there. Mm-hmm. There is a way that they do things, and this just seems to be the way Marcus and Joni built this establishment. I'm not even going to call it a ministry anymore. This organization was built on lies, built on, because, okay, so think about this, though. Think about this, is that this right here is coming out where this is Suzy Lamb, okay? Suzy Lamb, one of the children, talking about this, okay? And she herself withheld these things happening to her. Think about the people who are just employees there, okay? Think about the folks who are just employees there and how much stuff gets covered up. Because if they're willing to cover this up, I'm telling you, man, like, this is not just, we saw this with the Robert Morris situation, where once the story broke, where it was like, okay, there's one incident that happened from Gateway Church, right? We just thought, okay, there's one thing that's wrong. Then it became this one thing after another that was going wrong in Gateway. You see? So it's like, once these stories break, you find out there are more victims, more people who have been mistreated, more people who had to bury things under a rug, people who were probably themselves. So here's the thing. There are probably people who signed NDAs and took some money and settled some cases that we will never hear about. And I strongly believe that is likely to be the case, because that's what we see when these things go wrong, is that there is there's a bunch of bodies left behind in the wake of what has happened.
Yes, so I'm sure, because I don't think that was the first time they offered someone to sign an NDA. So which means they already have this in their back pocket. So this time around, they're like, you know what? Yes, this one is my son. It's time for him to sign the NDA. So trust and believe that the employees there, they already signed the NDA for sure. Because I doubt that was their first time they produced an NDA for somebody else to sign.
there's definitely, I mean, I would think so. I would think that there are people who have gone through stuff and things have been buried, and this is just what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do at this place. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's a Daystar.
Wow. Let's see if there's a little bit more to this story here. So, according to, so here's another picture of them here. This is in March 2023, so last year. So according to Jonathan and Suzy, the chiropractor had lost his license. What? Because of an alleged assault on a minor. Man, I can't even, hold up. So they brought a person who was already compromised into Daystar, somebody who had lost his license for doing some trash before. They bring this guy in, and he does something he's not supposed to do to Suzy, and then they try to sweep that under the rug. But Marcus and Joni believed the chiropractor had come to Christ and was a changed man. So they invited him to Daystar to work on the family in the family green room, Jonathan and Suzy said. The green room is a lounge for on-air performers where they go when they're not in studio. So this must be a picture of this guy right here. The chiropractor allegedly assaulted Suzy Lamb poses with his daughter at the Daystar TV Christmas party. My goodness. My goodness. And you see how these people have no fear of invoking the name of God in what they do when they cover up stuff. Yeah. Like actually saying that this guy, no, he's a changed man. He's come to Christ. This is a guy who's come to Christ. Listen, even if somebody, let's say he really did come to Christ, even if somebody has come to Christ, if they have had a past of doing certain things, then there's a way that you do not bring them into spaces that could either tempt that person or make somebody else feel uncomfortable when the information comes out, even if nothing happens. Yeah. But if the information comes out that, hey, wait a minute, so that chiropractor, this guy was, he did some stuff in the past, and y'all brought him here, even if nothing happened. Like, you have to avoid these kind of situations. Yeah.
And not only that, this chiropractor had the audacity to do this to the daughter-in-law. Remember, Suzy, like, this is the,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, they own this Daystar, right? It's owned by her husband, her father-in-law, and her mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. So this chiropractor, it's not like didn't know who Suzy was. Mm-hmm. So then he is having this audacity to be doing at Daystar, not even outside, like literally at the network itself. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about here? And why are they attracting these people who think they can just come in at Daystar and behave like this? Like, oh my gosh.
This place is like a magnet for just heinous things to be happening and be covered up. Wow.
No, man.
All right, so let me just read a little bit more of this and we'll move along. So for a couple years, everything went fine, Suzy said, and the man worked on her in the green room without incident. So he seemed to be okay, but like I said, right? Shouldn't have brought him there in the first place. Mm-hmm. But then he started becoming more belligerent. And one day, she said, he seemed drunk as he was working on her. Joni's assistant was normally in the room with the chiropractor when he was seeing patients, but Suzy said that for about 5 minutes, the assistant left because she had to use the bathroom. During the time she was gone, Suzy said the man violently assaulted. The assault was not R, but left her reeling in pain. My goodness. As soon as the chiropractor left the building, Suzy called Jonathan and told him what had happened. Jonathan said his blood was boiling and he immediately called Marcus and Joni, who were out of town, to report what happened. Jonathan said Marcus told Jonathan he'd handle it and instructed Jonathan not to talk about it. Instructed him not to talk about it. Man, listen.
I mean, Jonathan, this is your wife. You're no longer under your mommy and daddy. Okay, you are responsible to protect your wife. Why are you taking orders from your mommy and daddy how to handle your own wife? You see, because to me, I'm like, this is the second time that Jonathan has found himself in this situation. The situation with the wife, the situation with the daughter, you're still taking orders from your mommy and your daddy, how he's running his household. Like, what are we doing here? Okay. Yes, you work for Daystar. They are paying you. This is the problem. Like, okay, so now they feel like, they own you. They're dangling. One day you're going to be the president. One day you're going to be in charge of Daystar. So you just have to do everything that mommy and daddy are saying. Like, no, you are to honor your parents, okay? You don't have to be rude to your parents. You're to honor them. But when they are asking you to do something that is evil, you are under no obligation to honor that. You are responsible for your family. You are responsible for your wife. You are responsible for your daughter. So these people are telling you to keep silence over something that is evil. You're not supposed to honor that. So Jonathan, as a father, he failed. As a husband, he failed. So it's not like these things were happening and Jonathan didn't know about it. He heard about it. What did he do about it? He's coming out now. Okay, 4 years later, fine. We appreciate him coming out now. But at that point, surely, you'd be like, you know what? This environment is not good for my wife. It's not good for my family. We have to get out of here. That's it. He could have done that. But they all, for whatever the reason, they stayed. And yes, I'm telling you, you know what I mean? The money, these people, whatever the status, all these things, you have a show, you're on Daystar, all this, the trappings of what Daystar is offering, I'm sure that was very hard to resist. But, if you are for your family, you need to be willing to let those things go, especially those material things go. Like, no, don't tell your mom. Like, why is your mommy telling you, like, no, we don't say anything about it? They're actually giving orders. Like, no, don't let them do that to you, Jonathan.
Man, listen, this thing is, this story has just got layers and layers and layers. Like, if you had to do like a docuseries on this, it would be hours and hours, because we're only scratching the surface on this thing. There is, if whoever sits down, like whatever information that Julie Royce has on this, because she's bringing this out. I guess she just said she only heard this over the weekend. So imagine the stories that haven't been told. Like I said, stories of other people, stories of things, other cover-ups that have occurred that are yet to be revealed. There's just going to be more and more stuff coming out of this situation. I just don't think this is it. And you're very right as far as we now have to just wonder, man, like what was going through Jonathan's mind as far as not taking action in certain situations immediately. Like blood boiling is one thing in this case, but I don't know. I might have had to be in jail or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is, wow, wow. Wow.
Yeah, so it's, this is not good, okay? This is not good. Because remember, the child, right? The child doesn't know. All she's going to know, I told my mommy, I told my daddy. From what she's experiencing, she's just like, we still had to go to these family gatherings. I still had to be in the presence of somebody who did this to me, right? Those are the things that the child is going to be remembering. And no wonder that child eventually ended up shutting down, besides what the grandmother downloaded in her brain as a little child, right? Because to her, just like, okay, the most people who are supposed to protect me, they are the same ones who are also bringing me in the presence of these people who are evil. And what is the child supposed to be thinking? So, yeah, so let's hope that, they definitely, both of them, this entire family needs solid counseling and ongoing, because those are, she's definitely traumatized for sure. So she definitely needs help. Plus, remember, all these things are what? They're on a public domain, right? So she's going to go to school. She's growing up. She'll be able to see all these things. So these things is just not going to go away. It's just going to be part of her life, part of her family. It's very sad. That's not what she signed up for, but this is the family that she's part of. It's very, very unfortunate. So, Jonathan, man, if you had taken
Man.
action right there and then, who knows what would have happened, right? Removing yourself from being surrounded by these evil people. And and then notice like the way Joni and Marcus are, it's like if something happens, all they have to do is just tell Jonathan, don't do anything about it. And they know Jonathan is not going to do anything about it. And they just carry on as if nothing happened. Like what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's had to wrestle with his own failures throughout this process as well, and the ways that he's dropped the ball. You know how they say a fish doesn't know it's wet, it's in water, right? That's just what it is. And I think to some degree, these guys who've grown up in these sort of settings, they don't even know to some degree how things are supposed to be handled. They don't know what's right, what's wrong. If you have that level of affection and devotion and loyalty to the family, I mean,
Yes.
Again, like I said, it's like the mob.
Oh,
man.
it's not an easy
it's
thing
like
for
the
sure.
mob. You know, like you're in a situation where it's like, no, well, like, listen, we do, like, there's bad things happening, but I just can't be the one to make this thing collapse. Like, I can't be the one. I'm gonna bring harm upon my family. And then probably, let's be honest, there's a sense in where he may be thinking of his own upkeep and taking care of his family as well.
For sure.
And he's thinking to himself like, okay, so how do I do this? And I'm not saying that's right. I'm definitely not saying that is right. But these are the things that are on his mind. These are some stuff that's on his mind.
Plus, he knew he was the one who was going to take over. So you, at that point, you're just maybe counting the days. You know what? Soon I'm going to be the guy in charge. I'm going to do the cleanup once I become the president. Because who knows what he was thinking, right?
Wow.
It's not easy to walk away from such things,
So in the meantime, Suzy said it was all she could do to hold herself together, knowing that the chiropractor knew where she lived and used to joke that he knew how to snap someone's neck in seconds. The next day, as Suzy prepared to fill in for Marcus and Joni on their show, her body revolted and she threw up in the bathroom. But Suzy said she also knew what was expected of her, so she soldiered on and hosted her show anyway. Terrible. We need to protect Daystar, Suzy recalled Joni telling her, and I want to protect you. So don't say a word about it to anybody. This woman needs to be in jail now, too. This Joni lady, she needs to
Joni,
be
she's
in
a
jail.
Jezebel, guys.
She needs to be in
sorry.
jail. Suzy says she dutifully obeyed what her mother-in-law told her and eventually got over it and forgot it happened. So even Suzy was in some sort of broken way, the way she was operating. Like these folks weren't operating in a normal mindset and functioning the way you're supposed to function amongst other adults in a safe setting. They just weren't doing that. And this tells me that there was other things. There must have been ways in which whether it was the finances or whatever it was, stuff was dangled around, because this is just showing you, it's like, like battered wife syndrome. Like you're showing people they just don't process things properly.
Because it looks like Joni had full control of what was happening in these people's lives, right? She'll just say, no, we gotta, don't say anything. We gotta protect Daystar. It's time for you to do a show. And that's it. She'll just, get right on it, right? You're going to be on the show. Jonathan is also getting the order. So even Jonathan and Suzy, even them two also, the way they were handled by Daystar, I think it was not proper. It was not proper. I agree with you. There were other things outside these circumstances that made them paralyzed not to go outside Daystar, but just to keep their heads down and just to stay. So it had to be to this point where she no longer works there, he no longer works there. So now they have, the confidence to be able to sort of like out Daystar. Yeah, Joni, man. I mean, like, this is some Jezebel stuff, man.